Hello there, Alison.
Hi.
How are you?
I am good.
So, for anyone that is watching this, we have been working together for like 4 months now, maybe?
Yeah.
I would say. Before that, obviously, we knew each other. We were like passing ships for a long time. So welcome to the Made for Video podcast. This has been a long time coming. We have done a podcast before, but it was on Zoom, and we had so much valuable information in there. But now we've obviously got the content room set up, and I just wanted to re-record it basically, and basically let everyone know what you're up to. Now, for anyone in my audience who may not be aware of what you do and who you are, really this podcast originally was made by coaches for coaches. That's what we used to say. I don't know if I'm actually going to change the name of it yet, but in terms of what you do, who you help, where you at right now?
Okay, so I run a business called Two Minds. I predominantly work with leaders and managers, helping them understand themselves so that they can lead well. But because I can do that, it means I actually can help anybody understand themselves so that they can do life well, do relationships well, do whatever they want well. So I have got nearly 30 years experience studying the human mind in various forms. I started off as a counsellor and as a therapist in the NHS, and then moved into my self-employment and different types of coaching, NLP. So basically I've got all this sort of smorgasbord of how we all work.
Wait, you said the word smorgasbord?
I did, yeah, I got that in. Big word.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got this real range of, I suppose, disciplines that I've brought together and create quite a unique style of helping people understand themselves.
Yeah, so let's start from the most recent thing that we've done. Today, we've actually filmed your application video for the TEDx talk. Now, this is something that I've really bought into in terms of, since we've worked together, one of the first things you said to me was, I'm applying for a TEDx. And then we actually went to the event where I got like loads of insight on it. So tell everyone what that process has been like up to this point.
Well, for those that don't know anything about TEDx, if you go onto YouTube and Google TEDx and then a topic that you love, you will probably find somebody will have had a TEDx recorded. So I didn't realise until I started looking into it how much of a process it is. You don't just think, oh, I'll go and do a TEDx. It is a long process. You have to apply. Your story has to have an angle that is slightly different or be a story that no one's talked about. And it's crafted. It's not standing just wax lyrical. It's really crafting a story so that the audience, which is live when they're recorded, actually hear your message. And if it's for them, then you've said it in a way that's going to make them be really thoughtful or make a change. So the idea is it's, the tagline for TEDx is ideas worth sharing. So you do have to really think about what you're doing. You have to be quite purposeful and intentional about it. And today we've just recorded my few minutes of video that goes in with my application. So let's see.
Exciting times. One thing that really got me when we went to that event was it's the best part of the year.
Yeah.
From start to finish on that application process, it's pretty much, let's call it a year to do.
Yeah, because I've been working on my idea for quite a while now. I've applied now, it's November, and if I'm successful, the recording is in July.
So just to give everyone a bit of context on this, we went to this event in August, was it?
Yeah.
End of August, September?
Yeah.
Something like that. It was either end of August, start of September, something like that. We're now filming this podcast in the middle of November. And you wouldn't, if you are successful, which I think you will be next June.
Next July.
Yeah, July.
I'll record it in July, and then during next year, you continue to work with the team.
So it's pretty much a 10, 11-month process. Now, one thing I'm like, is like a byproduct of this actually, is one thing I'm really fascinated about is coaching. Because originally, as I said, this podcast was for coaches, by coaches, for coaches. You've actually got coaching off a lady called Catherine Sandland.
Yes.
in public speaking.
Yes.
And that's in conjunction with this TEDx process.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about that and how that's improved not only your ambition to be a public speaker and a better storyteller, but in terms of just like being a better communicator in general.
Well, I think this is the thing. We can all, I think the first thing to say about this is most people dread the thought of standing up in public. So that's usually most people's starting point. So I know I'm a lot further down the line than I used to be, but I think that's the first thing we need to honour, is that most people go, the thought of actually standing up in front of a group of people or anything. And that stems back usually from childhood, because it stems back from when we were reading out at school and you had to read out in front of your friends when you couldn't really read. So it was quite a big deal. And what does the human brain do? It worries about looking silly, it worries about people laughing at us, especially children. So most people, when they say, you need to do a presentation, they go, and it's like you've tracked back to childhood. So I've obviously been working on my old child memories of reading out of school, of which I have vivid memories of trying to work out which paragraph I would be reading and then try and rehearse it while your friend was doing the previous paragraph. And bearing in mind, we were learning to read, so we weren't able to do it. It's a big deal. So I think that's the thing with public speaking, is majority of people would dread it. Majority of people won't do it. They don't want to do it. But actually, taking yourself out of your comfort zone is something that I talk a lot about. And for me, even though I've been talking to groups and facilitating and running workshops for decades, this is a bigger deal for me, because it's a bigger audience. It's an international audience, potentially, if you're successful. And the recording of it is all done, as I said earlier, to a live audience.
I mean, that's the social proof of it alone is like massive, isn't it?
Yeah.
The fact that you've actually got through that process and done a TEDx talk.
Yeah, and that's where I want to be. Being a speaker is what I feel I want to move on to now. I do want to do a lot more of that. So this feels, like you say, social proof for me. But it is a bigger deal still. So even though I'm experienced, sitting in a TEDx, I went along to watch
like an auditorium.
It's massive.
Oh yeah. I mean, to give everyone context, because I went on this introduction TEDx thing, we've just had a baby, so it wasn't the right time for me. But next year, Alison hopefully will be coaching me to do my TEDx, and I'll be going through the exact same process. But rewind a little bit for me. What made you want to go into public speaking? When, like what you said, most people is like, I don't want to do it. Like, I won't do it and I don't want to do it. Whereas what sort of made you gravitate towards that sphere?
I think because I have got a lot of experience and I've learned a lot myself, I feel like I want to share that. My main value for my business is making a difference. So whether that's an individual or whether that's a group of people. And I watch some of the stuff that's out there, and it makes it all look easy, and it makes it look like, if you haven't got it, then you're not that good. I want to break that down. I want to be able to help people feel comfortable with their differences, feel comfortable with their challenges, but to know that they can change it. So I think being able to stand on a stage and help multiple people in one go, by crafting a story that really resonates, that makes them go, oh gosh, me too. Because that's basically what I want to be able to do, is for them to hear me too, but I'm standing on the stage, so that will inspire them, hopefully. Because that's what I've done. I've watched people on stages over the years and been totally inspired and thought, wowzers. But also I am always looking for those opportunities to stretch. So if I don't get on a stage, then I'm not stretching myself. And I, weird as it sounds, quite like doing that.
Yeah,
I like being out of my comfort zone.
Totally.
Don't get me wrong. I think the TEDx particularly will be, on the day will be absolutely terrifying. But I want to walk my talk.
You'll come out the other end of it, and you'll be like, I can't. But that's like a massive milestone.
Yeah. But I also want to show people. And that's why I'm happy to talk about it and not pretend. I mean, this is where, again, you see people making it out that it's easy to do this. I mean, some celebs will tell you they still throw up before they go on the stage and things, and I prefer it when they're real, because otherwise people just think that's never going to happen to me, and actually, why not? But you do have to work hard at the work. You've got to push. You've got to, create that thing. So, when people say to me, "Oh, do you ever get nervous?" I mean, generally I don't, but I think sometimes it's good to. I think it's good to be. I often say if you're feeling a bit worried, and not worried in a negative way, worried in a sort of apprehensive way, if you feel like you are pushing yourself, good.
I know people who get nervous going on dates.
Yeah.
And just being themselves to another person, who you could potentially match up with, generally terrifying. So doing something like that, where you're getting on a stage in front of people who, let's face it, expect you to be good.
Yeah.
They do. If you turn up at a TEDx and you're looking at it, I'm going to get a really good public speech here, and that's it.
Yeah.
But absolutely fair play. One thing that'll feed into that we've talked about a lot, and I think it'll be interesting for people listening to this podcast, is we've got to have a big focus over the next couple of months on events and putting on your own events. Talk to me a little bit about what's inspired you to do that, and ultimately help more people in the event setting or in a group setting.
Well, I think similar to the TEDx, I do think rather than me work one-to-one, which is what I've done a lot of, I believe that bringing people together, we learn from each other. First thing you get is, I'm not the only one, which is so helpful. Whatever it is that you're going along to, whatever you're going to sort of be learning or inspired, the fact that there's other people there, and often hopefully the presenter's saying, me too, that's why I'm here, sort of thing, then I think that helps because it takes the pressure off. But also, I think we're crying out for more getting in the same room. We are still all using Zoom a lot, or Teams or whatever, but I think being in the same room, it changes things, really genuinely changes things. I mean, I've worked with people all through the pandemic on Zoom, and then I've finally, and some of them I haven't met, but a lot of them I have, and it's like, oh, wow, it feels different, and you suddenly realise how tall people are, or how small people are, because everyone's the same height, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. It's same in social media. Since I got in, because when I worked in fitness, everything was face-to-face. So I became a really good speaker. I like communicating with people. I like connecting with people because everything was done in a face-to-face setting. Yeah. So when I went into social media, I realised that no one wanted to speak on camera. No one wants to put themselves out there. And if we rewind 20 years, everything is on social media now. Yeah. If you go to a play tonight, and that'll be on social. Yeah. And we're doing this podcast, that'll be on social. I'm going to take the baby swimming, I'll probably put that on social. Everything is on social. So, but some people will happily put a picture of their baby on social, but they wouldn't use social as a tool to actually help someone solve a problem. Yeah. So actually speaking into a camera, even if it's just a simple selfie video going, X, Y, Z, people just won't do it.
But I think that plays to what I was saying earlier is unconsciously we've all got this fear that someone will criticise us, laugh at us, condemn us, reject us.
What is it? Is it the feararchy?
Yeah.
The feararchy. There's I think there's 5. One's getting ethyl, getting killed. So we have this safety mechanism. But there's 2 that always fascinate me. One is fear of not living up to your own expectations, and the second one is what is it? It's fear of being judged.
We're terrified of it. We will not do things for fear of that. Yeah. Exactly that. And one of the things that I like to talk about is how do we get out of our own way? Because it's not just as simple as...
Is it being rejected from a friend group, or because you're doing something different maybe?
Well, it goes back centuries. Our ancestors, you were sitting round the fire telling stories, and if your story didn't rack up, you'd be asked to sit back. Yeah. It's in us to be rejected, to be judged. But then we make it 10 times worse by judging ourselves. And often people aren't judging us, but we're judging ourselves.
I've seen it before when I was in fitness where, say, for example, someone started making progress in like a health and fitness pursuit. They wanted to lose some weight, for example. And then their own like sister, for example, would be like, oh, what are you doing that for?
Yeah.
And it usually stems because they're not doing the thing that, and they want to kind of pull them back into it. Yeah. So, because it'll expose the other person for not doing it.
Exactly. And that can happen. Yeah, people, you need your cheerleaders around you, people who are genuinely going to give you that support. Because some people will see your progress as a threat and they might make comments. Or, more often than not, the stories that we tell ourselves are something that somebody said like forever ago, and they don't even relate to now. Like you look at if you actually write down, and I often say to people, write down, actually look at what you're saying to yourself and look at it on a piece of paper, and you'd be like, most times you're like, what is this? It doesn't even like exist. That's
why I don't tolerate gossip, because it can come in the form, we don't come, like you talked about our ancestors, it will come in the form of violence back in them days. You'd literally get killed. If you went like the sort of alpha male or whatever, and you were just like, you couldn't produce babies or whatever, you'd be killed. Nowadays, we don't do that. Obviously, we live more civilized now, but it can come in the form of reputation damage through gossip. Oh, did you hear what this person done to this person?
Exactly, and that's where we...
Johnny shagged fucking Emily in the office or whatever, you know what I mean? And it's gossip. And it's like, half the time it's like seen as harmless. But actually, I don't tolerate any gossip now, because one of our main values is connection, and gossip is the biggest connection killer going, 100%. Because
we're judging, by passing on that information, there's an element of contempt or judgment, because you're gossiping because you think what they've done is not great. There are things that are unacceptable, sure, but most people don't wake up in the morning and think, right, how can I annoy somebody today? They do things because at the time they think that's okay. And actually then, 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, 3 hours later, 5 weeks later, they suddenly think, oh, that wasn't great. But they've done it. And there's no point in going over and over and beating people up with that stick. And again, that's where there's a lot of wasted energy and drama, where people are going over and over stuff that went on decades ago 100%, in some instances.
100%, 100%. So let's talk, we digressed a little bit, but that was good. That was really valuable. In terms of the events, they're going to be probably rolled out from 2025 now. As I said, we're in November now filming this. Who do you want to get in the room? Who's it for? Who's it going to help? Obviously, we personally, in our work that we do together, we've done talked a little bit about what the topic's going to be and stuff, and what the problems these workshop events are going to help solve. But talk to me a little bit about that.
So I think one of my ideas is to help business owners, so solo entrepreneurs who, again, I see are working so hard to try and make their businesses work. But there's so many things that they're doing that are just getting in their own way. Sometimes it's their mindset, sometimes it's other things. Visibility is one of them.
And did he realise this stuff at the time?
Well, I think they know that something's not right, but they don't necessarily, I think, again, get people in the room, pause, get out of your own head, get out of your business, listen to some of these questions, or let's do an exercise and let's get people really thinking about it.
I love that.
Because again, the thing that I often see is this idea, come on my course and your business will boom. Unless you really understand yourself and what's holding you back, that ain't going to happen. So I think people are spending money on things because they want the instant gratification. They want the fix. They're rushing around going, who can help me? Who can help me? Throwing money at things. And really, no one's actually getting to the root of the problem, which 9 times out of 10, it's us.
Yeah.
So you've got to have somebody who knows how to help that. So I want to do that because I do see people, in networking, I do see people who, some are doing absolutely incredible, and there'll be things that they're doing right, and then there's others that are struggling, and they're scratching round, and I hate that. If people have got a passion and an idea, I'd love to be able to just help Because if they're successful, then that means I'm successful. So I think something like that. But I think there's also that sort of, we've talked about collaborating with visibility, with giving people the confidence to sit and come on a podcast. I mean, I've got a podcast, and sometimes I used to have guests that used to come on and they'd be beside themselves. And I'm so far from that now. I'd be like, hey, it's just this. It's just a chat like this. But actually people don't. They make things so much harder for themselves.
Oh, since I've come into the concept room, we've had a great start to the concept room. It's been epic. But the amount of people that come in, and I know for a fact they are really, really, really good communicators, really good speakers. And they'll come in and they'll just really overthink it. Yeah. And I make a point of literally just being like, I'm not going to tell you what to do. Yeah. You know your own business. All the knowledge is in your head. When you've talked to me about it, it's been amazing. I'm really just putting them at ease. And once they get into that conversational state, it just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
And actually that sometimes comes across a little better, especially on social, when someone might not know who you are in terms of being like a person, but they'll see your profile and they'll get that impression through a piece of content, for example. But massive.
But I think people, when you talk about trust and, all that concept of when people make decisions about who they're going to buy from, for whatever it is, there has to be some level of you showing your people, your audience, that you've got something that they're missing. So I always think of, if you saw, I don't know, a yoga teacher and she was in McDonald's stuffing her face every week and out the back having a fag, it doesn't fit, does it? Yeah. So you're not going to think, wow, I want to go to her yoga class. Yeah. Same as if in fitness, if you saw somebody who was like really, really unfit, are you going to be inspired by them? Yeah. The same as
it's got to be someone a few levels above you.
I think so. And again, it's not a competition, but I think, like visibility, for example, there's people out there who are saying they help with visibility, but they're not that, they haven't got that themselves. Yeah. So that's the bit that I think people need to get real about what they're offering and then demonstrate somehow how they've got that so that their audience go, you can help me. Yeah. But then the flip side of that is there are people out there who've got the amazing shiny brochures and all these flashy things and podcasts and
it's so interesting. It's so interesting to hear that perspective from your side because I totally agree.
Yeah. But those people with the fancy brochures might not have the skills. They just got all the so
it's like I say to people, if you whoever you're portraying yourself as on social media, how close is that reality to who you are in normal life? Yeah. Because that's what it's got to be. It's like that version of you on social has got to be literally the most authentic version because you might get away with it to a point.
Yeah, people will sniff it out.
And people will smoke you out quite easily. As soon as they come in the room with you or get on a podcast with you, they'll be like, this guy's not. Yeah. This guy's not.
It's a bit like dating though, isn't it? We said before, if you paint the picture that you're something else and then they meet you, you're going to be like...
Yeah, giving it the big one on a text message is a lot different from going for a meal with someone.
Exactly.
100%.
Exactly. So I think this authenticity, it's a word that's used quite a lot, but I think, navigating how you show up is really important. But the other thing I think that's really important to say here, especially when we're talking about sort of socials and things, is this notion of be yourself. Now that people say it all the time, and of course that's all you can be. But you know what? Unless you get to the bottom of what's stopping you being yourself, you won't be yourself. For sure. Because all of your chit-chat, all of your limiting beliefs, all the things that other people have told you, all your I'm not worthies, and all of those stuff that sings around, and they're the things that I want to focus on in the events that I'm running. Because you can't be yourself unless you work out kind of, what your lane looks like. Forget everybody else. Let's not compare. Let's stay in your lane. I'm always talking about that with people. But then find out how to be yourself because it's not that easy. I am now. I know that I can put my hand in my heart and say, boy, have I done the work. Yeah. I am me now. Yeah. But I definitely wasn't being 100% myself. I was trying to please other people. I was trying to flex. I was trying to fit in with others, trying to please others. And you might not think you do it on a very kind of obvious basis, but we do. And I think that stops us, the social media shows us so much about other people's lives that you will be looking at other people's lives thinking, I've not anywhere near as good as that, so I won't.
Yeah.
Or you might look at somebody and think, damn it, they've got that membership going and I want one of them. And then you think, I can't do it, I'm not good enough, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And you just exhaust yourself.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Big time. And I've done that myself. When I started doing this, I was looking at like video editors and videographers thinking, I could never make a video like that.
Yeah.
I could never make, fancy text like that. And I always say, like, the big thing I always say to people nowadays, and you've probably heard this recently, is the barrier to entry to anything new is being a bit shit at it at the start. And
that's the courage and vulnerability that we have to have. You have to be courageous, which will mean you are vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because it might not work out. You might have to do it again. You might. But equally, there's no fun in, if we could do everything first time round, absolutely.
Have you ever been on holiday and came back after a couple of weeks or 10 days or whatever, and you think, oh, that's changed. Oh, that's changed. But day to day, you don't really notice it changing because you've been away for a little bit and come back to it. Oh, the sign on that shop has changed. Yeah. Oh, this is the road. It's been done here, or whatever it is. Something that minute that you don't notice day to day. Same with putting out videos. If you put out a video today and then put out a video tomorrow, you'll be a little bit less shit tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll be less shit tomorrow. And over time, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 2 years, 3 years. I mean, I look at the videos now that I made 4 years ago, and at the time they were good. They were getting engagements. They were getting like leads coming in. They were generating, attention, but they are night and day to what they are now. It's night and day. But I didn't notice it over time. But when I look back now, and I make a point sometimes of just going back and just watching them and being like...
But also, things change, don't they? What they say is the thing. I remember when I first started my business, if you had a video, they told you it should be a really professionally done video. Now it's hold the phone up, do a video, etc. Yeah. But I think the other thing that springs to mind that I think is worth saying there is people aren't, because none of us are perfect, and that's not the goal, to actually be perfect. Yeah. If you're putting something out that you want an audience to be connected to, unless there are the odd school of thought that, it's got to be perfect, otherwise people won't look. But actually, that realness, people are more likely to buy off somebody that's real than somebody who's made something so perfect that, because they're flawed, there's flaws in us all.
Sure.
And I think the falseness, the aesthetics industry is proving.
I would say what you can't fix, feature.
Yeah. Just talk about it. Have a laugh. I think another strategy that I like to sort of remind ourselves is a bit of humour. If you've messed up, doesn't matter. Don't be... that's when I did my podcast, people who say, you're going to be editing, cutting no. Because what we're showing is that it's okay to have a go. It's okay to maybe make a mistake. And we can learn more from that and do. And I think all these things are all part of the sort of jigsaw of life, really.
Yeah, amazing. Well, lastly, thank you so much for doing this. It's been amazing. I want to roll all this content out. If someone in my audience wants your help, or wants to get in contact with you, or wants to come to one of your events, or wants to support the TEDx journey or follow that, what's the best place they can find you?
I think we put most things on Instagram, don't we? So I would say start with Instagram, which is Alison 2 Minds with a number 2. And on there you can get onto my website, watch some podcasts. I think for me, listening to good quality stuff that's going to feed your mind with ideas, not challenges.
Consume the best stuff, which will allow you to create the best stuff.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much. That was legit.